Okay, now let's see if this live chat is working. Let's see. I don't know. Okay. Okay, if you all can hear me and see me, see if you can type something. Okay, I see Lady Lotus, divine greetings. Oof, I was getting ready to get like a little heated here. um, Greetings, Nima Nura and Naima Nura, welcome back. Um, Ahmed Nishan, greetings, welcome. I'm glad that you are able to make it. And delicately, peace, greetings, welcome, thank you. I was running a little late because um, I was having some issues and I was trying to work it out. So I figured it out. I basically have to um, start up the start it over like a new stream. So I'm glad that you're here. Welcome, King Wage. It's a blessing to have you here among us as well. Greetings, let me see, Shani, Brady. Oh, okay, you're new too. Okay, yeah, so it's a little difficult for me to try to figure out how you pronounce your name. But welcome to the platform. Welcome, Brahmana Baba. Greetings, welcome. Yes, so thank you for you all's patience dealing with these technical and technology I artificial intelligence, even though it takes a human to program it. So if we have flaws, then we know it's going to have flaws. So oh, it's pronounced Cheyenne. Okay, thank you for the correction. So now I can pronounce your name properly. Thank you. Cheyenne Brady. Thank you. Um, yes. So it's a pleasure that we were able to wake up another day that our divine, everlasting, eternal parents allowed us to see another day, and that she woke us up with the breath of her kiss of life, as it is infused to every artery, every vein, every muscle, every stretch of our tissues and our organs and our bones and our seven senses, to be renewed and to be used according to a divine order, that we stay on a path for a divine destiny and a purified legacy. So I'm grateful that the divine spirit let them be part of the family to rise up to see another day, and that we were all productive in our process and throughout the day, and that we continue to be productive. And when we acknowledge her in all that we do, she will ordain our steps accordingly. So it's a blessing that we can come together this evening, and build on a rock, stabilized, because anything is temporary. It's like building up on sand, and it's going to eventually, when the storm comes, it'll come tumbling down. So I'm going to take this opportunity to open up with a proclamation in reference to binding the spirits that the adversary has no problem um, continuously to attack those who are a threat to them. So when you have trouble in your life, you know, to me, I've learned to count it all joy because the adversary only attacks those who are a threat to them. So when we are awakening in this present time of eternity, you know for a surety that your eyes have been anointed, that you can see and perceive the things that the adversary has tried to continuously keep you blinded, and that your ears are in tune to hear the divine breath of the divine spirit of the mother, as well as the energy force of the Father, that will lead us and guide us on that straight and narrow path, that we can continue to be guided by the divine spirit. So I'm going to take this opportunity and lay a platform to rid ourselves of any spirits, unwelcome spirits. I have written it down, but I have to find it um, in my notes because I have a lot of warfare um, prayers. So I don't know what happened to the one that I have written down, but nevertheless. So this prayer, um, we're going to bind the adversaries. So uh, I'm going to lay this down because we are soldiers and we're the soldiers for a divine order, you know, to that we be able to be empowered to uproot injustice and to overthrow their hypocrisy and to cast out their religious dogmas in order to plant and rebuild the divine monarch of integrity of the masculine and the feminine, and the masculine representing the protection and the upliftment and the encouragement of the wisdom of the divine feminine and her strategies like a lioness to pave the way for our redemptions, our reparations, our restorations, and our eternal salvation, not by way of religion, but the divine spirituality of our ancestors, that we be delivered from these earthly unbound artifacts of the adversary and his devices. So I will start off by saying, our dear divine everlasting parent, we pray this prayer in the power of the divine cosmic mother's womb. And in the name of, we say our own names individually because we need not a mediator. We are her seed and we have a straight path to the divine mother and the divine father. So I bind and bring to no effect all division and discord and disunity and strife and anger and wrath and criticism and condemnation and pride and envy and jealousy and gossip and slander and complaining and lying and false teachings and false gifts and false manifestation of lying signs and wonders that the enemy has for our plunder. And then we continue to soar above their wonders and poverty and fear of lack and fear of murmuring spirits, deceiving spirits and spirits of the anti against the melanated people, the seed of the woman, the seed of the cosmic black womb that brings forth life into all that exists. These are all bound from us, this platform here and when we are abroad, among our families and our spiritual family. We bind all the curses that have been spoken against us. We bind the power of negative words and curses. And we bind and we render useless all their prayers, not inspired by the divine Holy Spirit, which happens to be the divine mothering spirit. I bless those who curse us? No, we ask the divine to uproot them and overthrow them and cast them away. We ask the divine spirit that she continues, that we may stand on a platform of righteousness, and that the glory of divinity is our judge, jury, and executioner. We confess unto the divine Holy Spirit, which happens to be the divine mothering spirit, as the adversary and his narrators had continued to suppress and oppress her image and her spirit of omnipotence and omnipresence and omnipotence. But we stand in the gap to show that her divine will is forever present, for she is omnipotent and omnipresent and omnipotent and omnipotent and benevolent and infinite intelligence. So we confess and that we continue to acknowledge her in all that we do, that she can continue to lead us and guide us and shine a light upon our feet and upon our path. And we do hear the voice of the divine spirit as it rides upon the wind, and sometimes as a roar, and sometimes as a whisper, that we can connect to the divine in her cosmic and her earthly and her children as vessels to speak unto us those things that we need hearing for encouragement and upliftment and guidance. We confess and we ask for complete healing and the whole as a whole, and we flourish, and that we continue to be stabilized and fruitful and full of peace and patience and love among one another and to one another and toward one another and within one another, coming to one unit. We continue to love and cherish our life as we see that we have a divine purpose to lead us in a path of righteousness and integrity, that we might have a divine destiny and a purified legacy. That we continue to ask the divine to supply all of our ever needs, those that are hidden and revealed. We ask the Divine Mother as the life source, the life giver, and the life sustainer, and the Father as the life protector, as the energy force. We pray for the ministry and for our proclamations and salutations, that our words do not fall upon deaf ears. We ask the divine to have continue to have mercy and continue to reveal and mature us, that we be not partakers of those who are ignorant, that they now shall become wise, and those who are foolish shall now become mature. We ask the divine spirit to continue to pray with us and grant us our prayers, that they be in line with the divine will of our everlasting parent, and anoint us and all of us and have called us to do what she has called and chosen us to do, and that we may be continuously divine, have a divine connections and a divine appointment and open doors of opportunity, and that the glory of our divinity ordain our encounters among one another and our outreach opportunities and our opportunities to continue to put us in the position that we may shine a great light in the midst of darkness. That we may use that our life and be given the abilities that we may glorify and honor our everlasting divine parents. So I claim a fence of protection around all of us and our spouse, our children, and day and night. And we ask the divine divine spirit, the glory of divinity in our own name as individually, as our essence and our purity in mind, body, soul, and spirit, that we continue to dispatch our spirit guides around us, going before us to lead us, walking beside us to guide us, being behind us to protect us, over us to cover us, beneath us to even carry us when we fall weak, but most importantly, within us to empower us that we may do all things that we've been called and chosen and now sent to do. And that we continue to let the divine spirit, as we, as the apple of her eye, continue to be throughout our homes and in our travels, whether car, plane, automobiles, or anything, whether 4-footed or 2-footed. Sometimes we may be carried off, but all of our properties for the divine order of use in reference to building and giving and being a blessing to all, as all are a blessing unto us. And that we ask the divine and spirit guides to protect our home from intrusion, spiritually or physically, from seen and unseen dangers, and that we be protected, and that we continue to our family and our friends being away from harmful demonic and physical and mental attacks. And lastly, I declare by the faith that reveals us sweeping through in our family and ourselves and our outreach as far as divine spirituality and unity. And as we continue to build within ourselves, in our homes, in our communities, for a nation and an empower of a divine monarch of integrity, and that we allow the divine spirit to use us continually for the necessary changes and sacrifices that we may make in order to rid ourselves of these strongholds and stumbling blocks that we have inquired while we are under the banner of the adversary and his patriarchal, male dominant sodomite society. Because there is a difference. But I ask the divine to continue to lead and guide us from this protect as we are being protected physically as well as spiritually, and that the divine continue to open us for correction because she corrects those that she loves, and that we may recognize those things that are unpleasing to our divine mother, and that we have a contrite spirit in sincerity, spirit, and in truth, and that we be in obedience, and that we have that brokenness in a pleasing manner, a humble manner as a child, no matter how old we are in age, in physical age. It's just like our own parents would say, you will always be my babies. And the divine says the same, that we will always be her children of the divine. That's a deeply desire and our more powerful prayer life in a greater intimacy with our divine mother, that she has made herself known in this present time of eternity, and that we no longer lose the connection that the adversary has geared our steps in the wrong direction. We give thanks and we give honor that the divine mother has showed up and will show out, and that we be her beacon of light, that she will continue to shine the truth in this midst of this adversarial age that we have been in. So stay strong and of good courage, that this too is to build our divine character in mind, body, soul, and spirit for our divine destiny and our purified legacy. Okay, Aseo, Aseo. Okay, okay. Now I got goosebumps. How about you all? Feels good. Okay, let's see. Civil Oracles, welcome again. Glad to see you made it here. And Duwada Nelson, welcome. Glad to see that you made it. Um, let's see. Um, I see. Comment Nelson, yes, you're still here. Okay, so I want to share one of the poems that the Divine Mother in Spirit, because like I said, like in 2017, I had come home with a fever, and I was actually on my way to the bedroom to like get in the bed to try to sweat out this fever, and the amazing thing happened. It's like I was on my way because I just dropped everything from dialysis, and I was just going home. I mean, going to my room so I can like sweat out this fever. But just like that, the next thing I know, I'm sitting. Um, I'm sitting at the dining room table right here where I am now, and there was a pen and there was a piece of paper in my hand, and I couldn't figure out why and how I managed to be on my way to my bedroom. And then all of a sudden, just like that, I see myself. I'm literally sitting at my dining room table with a pen and paper in my hand. And I couldn't figure out, I don't remember turning around, coming this way. I don't remember picking up a pen or picking up a piece of paper. I don't remember pulling out the chair. I don't remember sitting down. I don't remember pulling back up to the table. All of a sudden, all I know, I'm sitting at the table with a pen and a paper in my hand. And that's when the divine spirit spoke through my own lips. And she told me, well, actually, she claimed out and she says, "Hey, black woman." Uh, Excuse me, I was offended. I was offended because the Divine Mother, she ain't never addressed me as a black woman because she herself was revealing truth to me. So she would not allow me to call myself a black woman. Actually, she would allow me to address myself as a cosmic child or maybe even a Nubian child or an ebony child or something that is not so direct as black as in color, because that's not even a race of people. That doesn't even have lineage to a line, except for when you go to Kemet, they do say that Kemet actually stands for the land of the black soil, but it's speaking of soil. It's not speaking of people. We always like to have an association, but when you say that, man was made from earth, but we wasn't made from earth. I mean, it takes earth to maintain us, but we wasn't made from earth. That's only in the Bible where it says that, chapter 2, chapter 2 says that, man was formed from the earth. And then, of course, the rib was taken from his side, which created woman. So any falsehood in that sentence make the whole sentence false. But nevertheless, anyway, so when she told me a black woman, I was like, well, why are you calling me a black woman? You never called me a black woman before. And she told me, I don't mean black as in color. I mean black as in an acronym. And so I was like, well, what is that supposed to mean? And so she took my pen that was in my hand and she had me to write out BLAAC. So actually, when you look at it and you want to try to pronounce it, it actually would spell black, because C can have the same sound effect as a K. So it's black. So she back up and she went to the B and she told me the B stands for beautiful. And then the L stands for legacy. And the first A stands for ancient. And the second A stands for ancestral. And the C stands for consciousness. So she told me, I'm awakening in you the beautiful legacy, ancient ancestral consciousness. Now, right. So, for you who have visited my channel where there's like a few videos and they're always like in a rhyming connotation, a rhyming perspective, those are gifts that the Divine Spirit has channeled through me as a message to bring forth unto um, myself and her children. So, this one called the Cosmic Mother's Reflection. I have to continue to make sure that I continuously to mention her because, I have to glorify her in all that I do. I acknowledge the Father, the masculine spirit as the force, the energy force. And then the mind, the divine feminine is the feminine life source. So they both work together. And since the divine is a spirit, it doesn't have like sexual organs, but they have attributes of masculine and feminine. And we'll get more into that another time. So let me see if anybody's asking any questions. Let me see, legacy, ancient ancestry. Oh yeah, you got it, Alex Little. Beautiful legacy, ancient ancestral consciousness. Yes, that's how I define black, but then of course, I spell it differently as well because, the power to define gives us the power to control. So we have to take the energy and re-establish it to something that's motivational and uplifting and empowering for ourselves and not allow ourselves to look to the adversary and their falsified language of oppression and suppression, and then look to the same people to validate what we can accept on our own as true. And see that energy has been misplaced. So we have to continue to redirect that energy away from them, and they eventually keep coming down smaller and smaller because they're losing their power. So anyway, this one I really enjoy this one because keep in mind, the Divine Mother, she told me that she's using me to raise up her spiritual children, to raise us to power. So she's given me a beautiful um, insight of like a mothering attributes of compassion and everything. Because I had an issue with being told that I would be raising children. Because you who know my story, I did give birth to my one and only daughter, and I wound up abusing her when she was very young. She wasn't even probably like a month old or something. And so I had the social worker to come and get her because it was better for me to give her up than for her to live and um, I make the same mistake of taking her life and the divine spirit not give it back. So I had a hard time believing that the spirit would ask me to raise up her spiritual children when I couldn't even raise up my own physical child. But you know the icing, I mean, the beautiful thing is when my daughter became of age, I think she was like 21 or 22, she come looking for me and she found me, and the first thing that she said to me is that she loved me and she forgive me and she doesn't hold any of it against me. So I do have a relationship. It's not exactly on the level that I would want it to be, but it's a process, because she was raised in a home with a mother and a father where I wasn't, and then she's into her Christianity. She did allow me to be a friend on her Facebook page, but that didn't last long because once I started posting enlightenment, which is contrary to what she believed, she defriended me, and that lasted for a few years. But every now and then she might be so kind, and I look forward to it. She do periodically might send something, through a text or whatever. But I'm not gonna push her because the divine spirit awakened me when I wasn't even looking to be awakened. So everybody has their own process, but we're all significant and in our own time, in our own journey. But at the same time, we all have that same goal in order to reach, our divine destiny, and that whatever it is that we have accumulated in the process, that would be a burden in reference to keeping us from going to receiving our crown chakra. The divine would always lead us and guide us to rid ourselves from these strongholds and stumbling blocks. So that's the reason why I will be bringing forth to this evening over the years before the divine spirit showed up and showed out. Okay, so this is one that the divine spirit channeled to me. And it's titled Cosmic Mother's Reflection. Divine Mothering Spirit is a reflection of the mind of unconditional love, the eyes of empathy, ears of discernment, the lips with words of compassion, the arms of embrace, the hands of sincere touch, of comfort and healing, and even discipline. The heart of nurturing of a divine nature. She has the lap of counsel, and feet lead in a path and of shadow of integrity until all that follows her footsteps, an exemplified reflection unto our daughters and sons, naturally and spiritually. Motherless and fatherless is an opportunity to be fruitful as an extension of the cosmic womb of the divine eternal mother to all that exists in this world and in the world to come, abundantly with protection, provision, counsel, and comfort, that we be her shining stars upon this earth as her originators and called and chosen and sent to expose the deceptive, falsified duplicators. Yes, we are the daughters of the cosmic womb mother and the source of life, and the masculine sons and fathers are the cosmic force, energy, and reflection of our divine Father's image. So we are the manifestation of the divine as a reflection of our divine mother and fathers unto the fallen stars into this world, leading by tone, tune, and rhythm and vibration, the example not to be in the world or of the world, but we are unapologetically the source and force and the epitome to be the infinitely divine, feminine me, we, the cornerstone that the patriarch male builders rejected because we are the true divine cosmic elected, and we are the branch of the divine, but we are the fruit as the apple of her eye. Isn't that beautiful? I'm just like, wow. When she wrote that through me, I was like, wow. So that's how I'm supposed to be as a mothering spirit. And I'm still, I'm still, how you say, I've been looking for opportunities to actually exercise her reflection of what she shows me as attributes of a mothering spirit. But if you don't make yourself available unto those who would really appreciate and be beneficial to those type of compassions and teachings, and just sometimes you don't even have to open up your mouth. Sometimes people just require to feel like they're being heard. Sometimes all you have to do is just listen. Sometimes all you have to do is just smile. Sometimes all you have to do is hold a hand. Sometimes all you have to do is lend a shoulder for somebody to lean on. But you have to make yourself valuable. And that's the Divine Mother speaking through me, to me, you know. Alarm. Which I have been able to be some of those, but I'm looking forward to um doing more and being more. And one time I was actually asphyxiated on what you call it. Remember there was like this little I don't know, it was a storybook or something, but where it talks about the old woman who lived in the shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. Wait, Divine Mother, why are you bringing this to me? I mean, she had me downloading um pictures of that old lady that lived in the shoe, and all these little kids was running all around and in and out the shoe and everything. I'm like, why am I downloading this? Why are you bringing me this old woman that lived in the shoe? She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. So I still ponder, on that. But nevertheless, the divine sometimes reveal things unto us, and we might not necessarily understand it at the time. Oh, Alice Little Old Mother Hubbard. Is that the name of it? Old Mother Hubbard. Oh, wait a minute. Old Mother Hubbard and something about a cupboard. So all of that's the same story. Alex Little. No, okay. I don't know. Thank you for your transparency. Oh, oh, yeah. I mean, it's like I'm like an open book. That is a different. Oh, you said that's a different one. Naima Nura, the old Mother Hubbard, and the old lady that live in the shoe. Those are two different stories. Well, see, y'all gonna have to make me go to Barnes and Noble in the little kids section and pull out these I guess what are there like little rhymes, nursery rhymes or little stories because we are your children. Duwanda Nelson because oh don't have me start crying. Oh well I just uh I know some of us might be old enough to be, some might be older than me, or they be the same age as me and younger, but the divine told me this is not about age, this is about the spirit. And then the office and what she's sending me to do. But I know I'm not doing it by myself. Each one of us are mothers to those who are motherless. Each one of us are fathers to those who are fatherless. She's just sending me out as an example. But I'll take, all of you and just uh, I'll hug you and just, I mean, because my real mother, she should give birth to 14 children. 14 children. And I'm number 7 because I have a twin brother and he came out a couple of minutes before me. So he's 6 and I'm number 7. and then behind me is triplets, um, two girls and a boy. So my mommy, she gave birth to a set of twins and a set of triplets, and the other nine were single birth. But I wasn't raised with her. As a matter of fact, she left me and my twin brother and one of my sisters. Well, me and my twin brother was 6 weeks old, and she went to get her 6 week checkup, and she decided not to come back. So I didn't have that mother example, to be raised. So I was a tomboy and I enjoyed, fishing, hunting with my daddy and doing crazy stuff with my twin brother, but nevertheless, I um, I definitely need some sisters and brothers because, especially when you become enlightened, if you're already the black sheep of the family, what do you think you're going to be once you speak different, look different, talk different, dress different, eat different? It's like you're non-existent, So, but the divine, she always told me that there's a different family out there for us. So I'm grateful for the divine connection. Alice Little says, that's 5 and 2 pregnancy. Wow. I know. I know. Yeah. But there's going to be a lot of things that you all are going to find out about me that I did never had an opportunity to share before. Because I think I was just kind of overwhelmed, especially starting off on Lance Scar show when such a large audience, that was kind of overwhelming to me. And when I saw so many people in the chat room, I didn't even bother to try to figure out what people were saying. I just wanted to make sure I utilized this opportunity and say whatever the divine was allowing me to say, because it was more important to me that she opened up a door of opportunity that I may share whatever she put on my heart and through my mouth to share. So I'm grateful now that she tells me, since whatever reason that the door closed on the scarf show, that she tells me now to just focus on the platform that I have now, because, and she tells me not to be weary of small beginnings, because what she's called me to do and how she's going to be um, granting, things to grow according to her will. It's not for everybody. So I just see you who are here. It's divine. It's just divine. So yeah, and then I'm going to start with the apostasy uh, behaviors that the divine, and that's a testimony within itself. But nevertheless, now this one right here, I'm actually going to roll this up like a little, make copies, like hundreds of copies, and roll them up like a scroll. And you know those little golden and silver seals. I'm gonna put it on there, and I bought like 110 or 120 real beautiful tiaras. Hold on. Matter of fact, let me go grab one so you all can see it. Okay, so the divine spirit, just one day she guided me to order these real beautiful, cute little tiaras. Isn't that pretty? And she put in my mind as an idea to uh, just randomly go out in the street and um, hand um, a woman or a little girl or a teenager, doesn't matter what age, somebody that might have their head down, she's going to give them the spirit of discernment to those who display like a low self esteem. And she's going to allow me to hand them the scroll and literally crown them, um, with one of these little tiaras, and then take it from there and minister to their spirit. So that is going to be really beautiful. I plan on actually doing it. Um, Hopefully this weekend come in, like maybe on Sunday, or I might do it on Saturday. But normally I'm in meditation, on Saturday, because I used to be a Hebrew Israelite, not in anybody's camp, but when I was when I was in the Bible, when the Spirit was using the Bible to answer my questions at home, and when I asked why is my people suffering so much and being disrespected and this, that, and the other, the divine spirit actually um, guided me and showed me, I think it was in the book of Acts, in reference to that the glory of divinity said that our people will um, wind up in a strange and foreign land, and they will be badly treated as slaves for 400 years. And when I read that, I realized that the divine spirit was telling me whoever those people are, those are what the Bible portrays as my people. Because even in school, there was only one race of people that ever was taken from one land and into another, and they became slaves for 400 years, and that's our people. But even when I did go to a Hebrew Israelite, they didn't receive me because the things that the divine spirit was revealing to me didn't line up with what they actually teach. So, anyway, so I know that we're beyond being Hebrew Israelite as far as a biblical identity, because in all actuality, we're more descendants from the Nile Valley, and how, chiefs and chiefesses, kings and queens, and just people with nobility, families of nobilities. We're just a renowned people of the Ancient of Days, and we're still their seed, and their DNA still runs in our veins. And in order to have restorations and reparations, the divine has reserved a remnant in order for us to be able to proclaim and reclaim not only our identity but our land, and that our legacy would be purified, and that we would no longer be bound to what the adversaries use as trying to define us and where we're. So yeah. So if you want to, you can invest in one of those, and we can make that happen for a lot of young ladies and women and older women, to let them know that they're still significant, and that they're still their matter, their life matters, and they're significant. So let's see. Anyone I couldn't imagine. Let's invite them. This is so sweet that would make somebody's day. Oh yeah, Duwada Nelson. Yeah, I mean, because when the spirit put it in my heart and my mind, I was like, oh. And then I wound up ordering 150. I mean, 110 or 120 of them, and I was like, whoo. I'm gonna be busy that day. I don't know if I would try to pass them all out in one day, or maybe maybe 10 or 20, so the people can, get to used to seeing me, in their community, and hopefully somebody might want to join me and we can just make this an Ubuntu community. We exist because you exist, or I exist because you exist. We become one, because that's what the enemy does, try to continue to conquer and divide. So it's about bringing back together, most importantly, our a communal community way of thinking and way of living and doing. So this one is called Beloved. Um, and this one is You have been begotten, but not forgotten. The divine thoughts of the poor, the disabled, the elderly, and the woman are of peace and not of evil, to give us an expected, renewed birthright beginning. Embracing the divine, eternal, cosmic mother, the source of all life and matter, birthed through the trinity of her reflection, of her life portal womb, above in any direction, of her omnipresence, her omnipotence, and her omnipotence. Her heavenly presence surrounds the universe. Bestowed upon the Mother Earth, she is the birthing nature of providing fruits and vegetables, grains and nuts, nurturing our empty, hungry guts. Created is the woman to be her helpmate, image of divine deeds among the children of the earthly garden, maintain serenity. Bandaging the wounds of mentally and physically, her hand heals, delivering words of divine mills, assuring protection, provision, counsel, and comfort. Embracing her presence leaves us without discomfort. Divine Mothering Spirit is a reflection of the mind of unconditional love, the eyes of empathy, ears of discernment, the lips with words of compassion, the arms of embrace, the hands of sincere touch of comfort, healing, and discipline, and the heart of nurturing of a divine nature. Is a combination of the one that I read earlier. Her footsteps of divine epitome of divine love, exemplified reflection unto her daughters and sons, naturally and spiritually, unto a new millennium generation. Motherless and fatherless is an opportunity to be fruitful as the extension of the cosmic womb of our divine eternal mother to all that exists. In this world and the world to come, abundantly rooted, truth, balance, justice, harmony, order, discipline, and morality. That we be her shining stars upon the earth as her originators called, chosen, and sent to expose the deceptive, devouring, self appointed duplicators. Yes, we are the daughters of the cosmic womb mother, source of life, and the cosmic force and the manifestation of divine masculine discipline, and yet a reflection as the mothers and fathers unto the falling stars of the world, leading by tone, tune, rhythm, and vibration. The example not to be of the world, unapologetically, and the source and force of the epitome to be infinitely divine, feminine, and masculine. But we are the cornerstone, we are the vine, we are the branch, and we are the apple of her eye. So that would be one of the messages. So, Lady Lotus, you said you love to help, and I would eagerly want to involve you as well. So I didn't think Lady Lotus. Yeah, so we have each other's contact information. So feel free to reach out to me and to see how we can make that happen. Um, I'm not sure, remember what state you live in, but nevertheless, we can still make it happen, whether locally or internationally, the same mind, the same spirit. Okay, so now this list that I'm about to go through um, started off with this young lady who heard my testimony, well, parts of my testimony, and she contacted me. This was years ago, back in 2002, right around the time that the Divine Spirit had just awakened me. And I was so full of zeal of sharing. Oh, in Marietta. Oh, yeah. Okay, because I didn't really want to like expose where, but okay. So, yeah, we can do that together right here in the ATL and even in your own community. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so let's keep that and keep in touch so we can do that together. So this young lady was saying that she had some strongholds, but she didn't feel comfortable exposing it, and she didn't feel like there was anybody who actually can relate to her in reference to what she was suffering from or dealing with, trying to rid herself from. But I noticed the whole time I'm talking to her on the phone, um, I kept saying, whatever you have done, believe me, I've done it and probably more from A to Z. I kept hearing myself saying, I've experienced everything from A to Z. So eventually, she must have heard me, and she finally flat out, what it was that she was having an issue with. And I said, I told you, there's nothing that you can bring to me that I haven't experienced from A to Z. So yes, had the opportunity to be set free from that situation as well. So that was the first person that the divine spirit was actually speaking through me to somebody else to make them feel comfortable professing what it was that they were dealing with, and that she actually had somebody in their presence that can be a witness and evidence that you can experience such um, uncleanliness and still be set free and still be loved unapologetically and unconditionally by the divine mother. So your transparency has helped free many. Oh, well, that's what I'm here for. That's what we're all here for. We all have a testimony. You know what's so amazing is like if you were to take 5 different people and put them in a room and put maybe 10 or 20 people in a room, there's not one person that can actually be able to relate to everybody. So everybody's testimony, it would be like right there at the tip of my tongue. It would be like an extension of the Divine Mother's hand to be able to relate to somebody where somebody else couldn't relate to. I've experienced a lot, so I can relate to many, but I cannot relate to everybody. So that's the reason why it's important that we have sisterhoods and brotherhoods, and that we go out together because where one lacks, another can be strong. And at the same time, it's like, who wants to go out by themselves? Though I've been doing this alone for ever since 2002, but then now the Divine Mother is telling me it's time to be work collectively instead of individually. So I'm grateful for the kindred spirits that the divine spirit is sending our way to each other, that we may be a building block for each other instead of a stumbling block. Okay, now keep in mind, now from A to Z, now the divine, she actually used I know a lot of people feel like, well, a lot of people tell people to do not put your trust or turn to the Bible or anything. But I feel like those people are speaking out of ignorance, because once you realize that your ancestors, even in their own words, when they say that the Bible been plagiarized by our ancestors, well, see, then that means what you're telling me is, in this book is the spirit of my ancestors. Now, my spirit of discernment and the spirit of my spirit guide will lead and guide me and bring back to my remembrance and connection of the divine ancient of day culture, and I will be able to recognize what is of the divine spirit of my ancestors versus the speech and the teachings of the adversary, suppressing that which belongs to my ancestors. So that's what the divine spirit revealed to me. She ministered to my mind. Okay, so like the Sibyls. The Sibyls are actually Black women, or what they call African women, Nubian women, melanated women, out of what they call the land of Africa. But they built most of their temples in what is known today as Greece, Turkey, Italy. They were very renowned, they were very known, they were very noble, and they were like advisors to kings and priests and this, that, and the other. And if you ever read that book called The Sibyls, like we have a young lady that, is she on here? Um, and forgot, is she, her last her name, how she addresses herself, has something to do with Sibyls. She's also, I don't know, over on the other side of the room. But anyway, the book of the Sibyls. Oh, the scriptures you just referred to is like John 3:26 or 28. I think the Bible has wisdom, but it has been rewritten for control. Yes, exactly. So now, when we understand that wisdom is she and happens to be an attribute of the Divine Mother, and we, as her reflection and her image here on earth, wisdom is still she. So it is the sagacity of the beautiful gift of the woman when she's in complete consciousness. So if I'm with the understanding that this has been pleasurized and refurbished as revised or retranslated or interpreted through the minds of wickedness, then the original of our ancestors wasn't of wickedness, but of goodness and of unity and of building a nation and maintaining a civilization of purity. So when the divine spirit revealed to me like the writing on the walls, what they call the hieroglyph, the Metu Neter, those are of our ancestors. So when they have taken the originators and created a falsified duplication of our work, but when you're being guided by the divine spirit, she's able to reveal to you truth. It's kind of like the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. To me, that's how the divine refers to the Bible to me. It's the knowledge of good and evil. So the good comes from our ancestors. The evil comes from our ancestors in our present time adversaries. So in order to be able to fight and win a war against the teachings and the status of our ancestors in our present situation, you have to know and be able to see and perceive the tactics of our enemies. So the same book that they use to oppress us, the divine spirit reveals to us the truth in it that is going to actually judge them. So nevertheless, so she asked me a question. If the teaching, if my spirit, which is my oracles, is given unto man, or human, hue, color, man of woman of color, and it is placed on a wall, and then also placed on a scroll, and now you find it in a book, does it lose its power because it's on a wall, and then from a wall written in a scroll, and then from a scroll written in a book? No, because the person who's actually seeking truth and the divine spirit is omnipresent, she's going to make sure that her teachings of truth is available to whatever culture we're in, whatever nation that we might be in, whichever any like language, she's going to give us the tongue of the learned. So she is telling me, so to just to confine her teachings to a wall or on a scroll or in a book, does not the person does not recognize the true power of the spirit of the divine. So she allowed my eyes to be open and see the teachings that belong unto our ancestors. Because I'm not promoting the Bible, I'm just letting you know that's your ancestors' teachings, and it would be totally disrespectful just because it's attached to what somebody else used as evil. We can actually turn it around and use it for good. So that's how the divine spirit used it, because inside those writings is where the spirit would lead and guide me to what our ancestors taught about the behaviors that I have partaken in this world in reference to up under the banner of the oppressor. So she allowed the teachings of truth, not religion, but like of truth, to be that confirmation that this is unacceptable behavior. So I'm not asking anybody to follow any religion. I'm not even I don't even profess to be a Hebrew Israelite anymore, because I'm just a cosmic child that has been called, chosen out of the midst of darkness, and a light has shined above my head and above my heart, and that I continue to shine and be transparent, so others can do the same, or at least be an example, and then they have their own unique way. So let's see. Agreed at Alice. Alice, yes, pure intentions. Naima, Nura, me too. I was told the Bible is the knowledge of good and evil. Yeah, see, that's the divine spirit. That's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Books are made out of paper. Where does paper come from? Trees. So, symbolically and spiritually, the divine spirit is going to reveal more truth, deep truth about something or a word than just what's on the surface of how they indoctrinate using their dogmas on the power to define. So spirituality takes you deeper than what's on top of the surface. That gives you a true understanding of symbology, as well as the metaphors and allegories that be in the Bible. So I can one day I'll just have to sit down and just really just take some words out and really show you what our ancestors actually meant when they use these words. And your eyes will be really open and like really be able to see. But when you allow a false prophet or a false preacher or a teacher to define, they always convert to the things of this world instead of the spiritual realm, and for us to have true simplicity and freedom. So, um, me too. I was okay. These lessons come in all forms. Yes, Alice and non-pyramid. It is well put. Please do. Yes, I look forward to it. Okay, so one of my acquired habits that I accumulated in my life in my journey was alcoholic. So we're starting with A. Remember from A to Z. Now I will. Let me see. Do I have it? Oh, I forgot to pull this up. I'm going to pull up what they call Bible Gateway. Yeah, Bible Gateway, so I can actually read you what the scripture says and the verses says without having to go grab the Bible and have to flip through pages and everything like this. And this is what the Divine Spirit used to counsel me, these scriptures. So A, starting with A, I used to be an alcoholic, but now I am sober through the counsel of divine love, which happens to be the Divine Mother. So counsel, she put counsel, and she took me to Proverbs, the 20th chapter and the first verse. Okay, let's see if this will pop up. Okay, so I'm gonna put in. Let's see. So this is Proverbs. Come on, it's a little slow. Ugh, I don't know. It might have been faster if I had my I don't know why this thing is moving so slow because I don't want to have to switch. Okay. Proverbs 20, uh, verse 1. And it reads as, and then I like to use the Good News version because I've heard a lot about the King James, and I feel like it's not really anything that I want to root any type of counsel in. But it's kind of like when the Divine Spirit the first book that I have was a King James, but I noticed that the word Bible didn't exist in the Bible, but she brought my eyes to be able to see blessed is thee that comes in the name of the divine with the good news. So I actually utilize what they call is the Good News Bible, which is more closer to um, the definition of closer to the ancient Hebrew scripts that were more closer to the Metu Neter, using the pictograph, not the today modern Jewish writings, but when they actually used what we call hieroglyphs, which is the Metu Neter, ancient Hebrew was pictograph. Uh, I want to show you an example on my staff that the divine has given me. She allowed me to utilize Metu Neter and the ancient pictograph of the ancient Hebrew. So anyway, so Proverbs 20 verse 1 says, wine is a mocker and beer a brawler. Whoever is led astray by them is not wise. That's self-explanatory. As soon as I read that, I was like, well, wow. I mean, can you think back of when you were drunk, tipsy, or drinking alcohol, how you made a mockery of yourself? and how you're quick to get an attitude and be a brawler in fights and arguments. Um, and to be led by this alcohol to change your behavior, your way, because the spirits, alcohol or spirits, it changes your natural order, your divine mind. Anything that's going to influence you to be contrary to the origination that the divine had fearfully and wonderfully made for you is not for you. And then you lose your wisdom because you're acting like a fool. I'm just speaking to you the way the divine speaks to me. So it's like, may your heart not be hardened, but may your ears be anointed so you can hear and hear the counsel and the discipline of our divine mother. Um, so when I saw that one, I was like, okay, well, she didn't really, she actually delivered me like this in the twinkling of an eye of all these behaviors that I'm getting ready to reveal to you all. And then after she delivered me, then she actually brought the book to me to show me why it was important for me to empty myself, that she emptied myself of the way I was thinking, which caused me that affect my way of doing things in my life. So, in all actuality, I was living as a fool. As a matter of fact, I asked the divine why she was communicating with me and why she chose for me to have this transformation and why now, And then she spoke through my own lips and she told me it was better for you to live as a fool first so you can become wise today. And I take that to heart. So, uh, and not to mention, as I have spoken earlier, you know, if you're foolish in this present time of eternity, it is now time to become wise. And if you're immature, it's now time to become mature. So the day she took me to chapter 31 of the same book. Oh, let's see if this do this quickly. 31, verse 4 through 6. Okay. And this is still in the book of Proverbs. I love Proverbs, because it's with, oh, there it is again, 11:11. Wow, you caught that, huh, Alexis? Alex, Little. Yes, the same time you brought that to our attention last night, and you know the significance of 11:11. Yes, gathering of her seed. So blessed is your ears that you hear and understand to understand, and blessed is your eyes if you all see and perceive what the divine spirit is revealing unto the heart. So the divine mother is definitely pleased at this present time that I'm finally doing one of the things she told me to do. So Proverbs 31, 4 through 6 read as, okay, let's see what it says. Oh, okay. This is one of the ones I love to share with young men and old men. Listen, Lemuel, kings. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Kings or queens should not drink wine or have a craving for alcohol. When they drink, they forget the laws and ignore the rights of the people in need. Alcohol is for people who are dying, for those who are in misery. Wow, self explanatory. Every one of us are gifted with a mind of the potential king, a mind of a potential queen. So she's letting us know that DNA of nobility, our ancestors would not, and we should not have a craving for alcohol. And then that's a whole nother teaching that I'm gonna have to do alone, because there's a difference between fermented wine and unfermented wine. Our ancestors used to do the unfermented, because when you ferment it, that's when the alcohol becomes a factor. Unfermented is basically the juice of the grape. And so, nevertheless, so this is a queen speaking to her son. So she's giving him advice. She's sharing her wisdom by telling King Lemuel, King should not drink wine, because remember, our ancestors, the queen mothers are the chiefesses. They're the ones who appoint who the king that sits on the throne as her co-regent, as her protector. So she tells them, she teaches them when they're young, and then she can appoint who shows the type of attribute who would maintain her teachings and her protection, and then they're placed on the throne. So she's actually talking to her son, advising him and counseling him that this is not something that kings would do. So if he's being obedient and actually listening, then he would not have a craving for alcohol, because it would interfere with his ability to be able to judge righteously for the people. So, and then, not to say, I mean, it also says alcohol is for people who are dying, for those who are in misery. Isaiah, the 28th chapter. So are you all getting it? Are you all hearing it? Are you all understanding? Because this is like counsel. It's located in what is the Bible, but just hearing it and understanding it allows you to understand that this is a type of counsel that you would hear from your divine mother, whether in the flesh or in the spirit. That counsel to give you guidance, because mother knows best. That's how I used to always say, whenever she's speaking to me and teaching me, I was like, whatever you say, mother, divine mother, because you know what's best for me. Yes, the matriarchy. Yes. And I'm going to create a flyer, and so we can have the matriarchs come together, because we got to create like our own what do you call revival, because they don't seem to understand those who are first and self-appointed and have these degrees and scholarships and diplomas. That's not who the divine is going to be using to be setting her people free. As a matter of fact, well, those who are considered poor and the outcast of the nations, is she takes the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and she'll take the weak things of the world to confound the mighty. So count it all joy. But whatever we're going through is actually laying a platform for us to be able to rise up above the dictates of our, well, for those who look at us as nothing, we're more than nothing. We're something that's going to be reckoned with. So let's see. Yes, Mama Lioness, agree. Absolutely and try. And that's scripture. Yep, yep, yep. So let's see. 78. Now, actually, if I was, what I would have liked, because I have a lot of books in reference to ancient um, cultures, our ancestors. I have one in particular, because a lot of our people who came here, whether they were here already, excuse me, as first people, indigenous, or coming from, because each continent is a motherland. So anytime somebody is coming from their land, they have the right to say, "This is my motherland." But when it was all one mass of land, um, it is known that they all came out of the Garden of Eden, or what they call Africa today. But I like to call it the Garden of Eden, or the Cosmic Garden. That's what the Divine Mother allows me to say. Okay, so let me see. Let's, because there's so many alphabets, like Isaiah, I, Isaiah. It's been so long since I actually looked at these scriptures, because it did its job the first time the Divine Mother revealed it to me, and that's since that was in 2002. So I never had to revisit these scriptures. I used to know them. I used to be able to quote them because they was like seared in my head. It's like, wow, I was um, I'm doing a lot of things that the Divine Mother did not approve of. So Isaiah, the 28th chapter and the 7th through the 8th verse, says, even the prophets and the priests. So when I see the word prophets, I say sibyls, because that would lead to our ancestors. That's what they called themselves back in those days. The sibyls and the priests and the priestesses are so drunk. Well, let's stick with their prophets, because in all actuality, that's what the Greeks and the Romans would call them. So since they did not honor the teachings of our ancestors, what is that moving like that? Then this is actually referring to them and the false prophets and the false preachers and teachers. So it says, even the prophets and the priests are so drunk that they stagger. They have drunk so much wine and liquor that they stumble in confusion. The prophets are too drunk to understand the visions that the glory of divinity sends. And the priests are too drunk to decide the cases that are brought to them. So the tables where they sit are all covered with vomit, and not a clean spot is left. Okay, so that's when you're actually ignoring truth, because I have like one of their they go to seminary school. They actually are taught a lot of truth, but then they come out and teach what the people want to hear instead of what they need to hear. And then you got these people taking what they call communion, um, which is a form of cannibalism, when you're talking about drink of my blood, and you eat of my flesh. That that never did set well with me. When I'm just hearing that, I was like, I'm not doing nothing like that. And then my own brothers and sisters were looking like, everybody's taking it but me. I'm like, I'm not taking that mess right there. I'm just like, eat somebody's flesh, drink somebody's blood. No, that's not me. Um, but the divine allow it to affect me in a much different way, and I'm like, yeah, I can relate and understand, even as a child, that just didn't set well with me. So you got these false prophets and preachers, I call them bar stool fools in all actuality. You can find them sitting up in a bar. You can even find them in a strip club. You can find them turning up like they're alcoholic grape juice. They don't necessarily have to wait until the day that they call communion. They drink heavily because so many of them have a title that they only live up to when they're standing in the pulpit. Unfortunately, my own daddy was an example. My daddy would stand up in the pulpit and preach about these heavenly things, these loving things, and judgment, respect, and this, that, and the other. And then they're gonna find out he was sexually abusing my sister and tried to do the same thing to me. See, now the divine spirit allows things to happen for a reason. Now the spirit, my sister was being controlled up under this spirit. She told me that she can remember as far back as 3 years old that my daddy was molesting her. But the divine spirit had already had something already differently planned for me. So when my daddy approached me in that manner at 7 years old, our everlasting parent, for me not to know no better, the spirit came into me or awakened inside of me to do something to my own daddy where he said he would never approach. I don't have to worry that he would never approach me in that manner again. And he said, I'm nothing but the child of the devil. Well, I can be that. If that's what it's going to take for you to understand that you are not going to treat me like you've been treating my sister, then you can have those thoughts. I can care less, and I done some stuff to my dad that I'm not proud of. Because in spite of, I still loved my daddy, but I'll tell him in a minute, I love you, but I have an issue with your ways, and how you think and what you're doing and the things that um, oh well, I forgave him, but nevertheless, we all have flaws and issues. So that takes care of alcoholic. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, anything you want to ask in reference to um, the alcoholic and how the divine used those three particular scriptures to confirm to me that she doesn't approve um, the intake of alcoholic beverages? Okay. Let's see, someone tried to stop me from leaving during communion. Who's that? Oh, Lady Lotus, for real? Yeah, facts. Seared to Alex Little. Okay, so I move on to B. Now, this one right here, I'm gonna have to pull out another book on this one. I'm not gonna go. I'm actually creating a PowerPoint about this. But I'm going to set the record straight because as soon as you hear this word, most people's mind goes straight to the gutter on this one. But I have to be completely honest. No, I didn't go to that extreme. But the divine was revealing to me just allowing certain things can lead to a much worse thing. So, B, I used to be a bestiality, but now I give not what is holy unto dogs. Counsel, Matthew, the 7th chapter, in the 6th verse. Now, I'm going to get through these scriptures first before I break it down how bestiality is defined, was how the mother showed me that bestiality was in my life. So you all can get an understanding. Let me see. 7, 6. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So do not give what is holy to dogs. They will only turn and attack you. Do not throw your pearls in front of pigs. They will only trample them underfoot. Also, Exodus 22 and 19. Okay, no, let's just stick right here. Okay. First of all, bestiality. Now, most people, when you say bestiality, they think of you having sex with animals. And that's exactly what the actual original definition actually means, is when you're having sexual um, encounters or sexual uh, relationship with animals, which some people do. I wasn't one of them, at least not from a four-legged perspective. But the Divine Mother, she told me, if you let a dog lick you, you know how you see like how they be licking them all in the face and the mouth and all that disgusting stuff right there. I used to always when I would like snuggle with my dog that I used to have, I would actually literally have to hold its mouth to keep it from licking me on my face. And then I was abusive, so I would actually squeeze the mouth, in an aggressive behavior. But the Vine was letting me know when you allow a dog to lick you, whether above or beneath, that's a form of bestiality. When you're having sex with animals, that's a form of bestiality. When you're having sex with a two-legged man or a woman who displays behaviors like dogs, that's bestiality. When you order like a male prostitute or a female prostitute, that's a form of bestiality. Now, in this particular book, because the Divine really wanted me to get an understanding, because there's a lot of stronghold. Because when you start saying that your pets are like your children, and some people, I mean, actually, if you take a poll, they spend more money on these dogs and cats, which I don't have a problem with the cats, because they kind of like self-sufficient, but nevertheless, they spend money on these dogs that they breeded just for those purposes. Like this book actually gives you the history of the Caucasoid or the reptilian or whatever you want to call them um, history when it comes to these animals. And like for instance, the dog now the Divine Mother, she allowed wolf, let me see, wolf, coyote, and fox, and then there was something called a prairie dog. So the introduction from this book, I'll read. It says that the word dog is mentioned over 40 times in the scriptures, and almost without exception with the strong disfavor, because this is okay. I'll just read it. I mean, well, I gotta to put some commentary in there, simply because it's with strong disfavor, but at the same time, they bred. That's what it means by breed. They first took a coyote and they took a wolf and they bred because they wanted to domesticate. That's what they like to do. They like to domesticate animals so they can use them for their own purpose. And because they didn't have any issues with having sex with all type of animals. Now, remember in the Bible where it says that he looked among all the animals and he couldn't find one like himself. He actually slept with anything and everything, but he wasn't satisfied according to them until he was able to find his helpmate, one of his bones and flesh of his flesh. So the Caucasoid or the reptilian or the beast man would actually have sex with all different type of animals. And then there's a history. It's just a lot. This particular bestiality thing. But it says with strong disfavor. So the attitude is common among all Near Eastern people. People here in the West are under the impression that the dog is man's best friend. Yet, is the dog really man's best friend? It shouldn't be. It should be somebody of his own kind, or in most part, even having a relationship with the divine should be the best friend, not a four-legged beast that they have created themselves for their own purpose and their own pleasure. Okay, so people are duped into this faith because that they see that the dog of today as employed in seemingly a helpful way. So because of this, you tend to like characters such as Lassie, which is the just another way of saying little girl. Did you know the word lassie? I think it's in what do you call it? Irish. Lassie meant little girl. Now, if they saying that lassie, or the word lassie, or their man's best friend is a dog, you can imagine. No, we can't imagine, but I can imagine how their behavior of today, of how they can come up. What is that? Something says show or hide. What is, I don't know what that means. Do you all see something under Alex Little? It says random, but it's sad. It said that a sheep's vagina resembles a woman's the most. Oh yeah, I heard about, I think that's in here too, Alex Little. Yeah, sick doesn't begin to describe it. Yeah. Lady Lotus, they went there. Yeah. Yeah. Just as down crazy. Yeah. So I don't know what this means where it says show, show or hide. Did you send a picture, Alex? Okay, well, uh, we'll come back to that because it's saying show or hide. Okay, so anyway, but against any of the children of the divine, the cosmic mothers, the seed of the woman, will not a dog move its tongue against any male living being or beast man, that you may know how that the divines put a difference between the anointed and those who are self-appointed. Okay, so let's move over here to where it says, if you had a pet goldfish and didn't feed it, what would happen to it? It would die. It would starve to death. Question: if you had a pet turtle and it didn't feed it, what would happen to it? It would starve to death. If you had a cat and didn't feed it, what would happen? Well, it would first try to run away, and if it couldn't escape, it would starve to death. Question: if you had a dog and didn't feed it, what would happen to it? The answer is it would attack you and then eat you. So let's go over here to the ancestry of the dog. What is the ancestry of the dog? Other members of the genus Canis include the wolves, the coyotes, and the jackal, the wild dog. Namely, the jackal was the first to separate from the wolf line. Later, the foxes split off. In recent times, the wolf has given rise to the coyote in America and in the southern Eurasia. Finally, a small race of wolves were so-called domesticated to produce the domesticated dog, which in turn gave rise to the dingo in Australia. The dingo is a separate species from the so-called domestic dog because the dogs belong to the same line as animals as wolves and jackals. They are also capable of attacking us. And in his blood, to be like them, dogs are carnivorous and by nature. So when someone says, "Oh, don't be afraid, Rover won't hurt you," just reflect on the information that I'm sharing with you. It's in their DNA. They will bite you, and they're unpredictable. That's the reason why there's so much mutilation upon children, upon people in general, and they think that they have them trained, but anything can trigger that type of behavior. Okay, so let me get over to the nitty gritty over here. So now, did you know that? Does anybody know where gonorrhea originates from? Let me get to the page. so you can see. Ugh. Okay, so I think it's the okay. Ew. Okay, so on page 26, and you would think that they are awake and they are really asleep, and we, the Elohim, turn them to the right side and to the left side, and their dogs are stretching their paws right in front of their cave. If you were to take a look upon these insights, you would certainly turn and run away from them and escape in. There were many diseases in the original land of Canaan, Haran, for they had filled the land with leprosy. Abraham was assigned the task of cleaning up this house. If you didn't look at them, you would turn back from them in flight. So these pictures, I don't know if you all can see it. I'll try to zoom in. These pictures right here. Let's see. Maybe I should have my. Hold on. Let me get my. Let's see. Uh, and on my light. So I don't know. It make a difference on there. Can you all see these? No. Yes. These pictures. I'm sorry, y'all. I guess it's. Let me see if I can turn on the the. Oh, okay. Okay. So there you go. So you see these pictures right here. Um, some they might pass off as syphilis and herpes and all that, but like these are bad cases of um, gonorrhea, um, herpes, sexual diseases. Uh, well, let's see where they actually originate from. Um, Actually, gonorrhea actually originates from bestiality when they have sex with their animals, their dogs. This book right here covers a lot. I was trying to get straight to the, and then they actually would breed the smaller dogs, like the poodles, when their husbands will go off to war. Go out to war. That's the reason why they bred the little dogs to be their so-called lovers while their husbands were gone out to war. um, okay, so oh my God, these pictures in here, I'm just like, I don't even want to, but I'm trying to find. Bestiality is part of the low moral nature of the Canaanites, well, the Caucasoids. The sentimental attachment and the physical attachment that the Canaanites has with animals is a part of his natural heritage. It was made clear in Leviticus 20:15 to life with a beast is sin, but that's part of their nature. Uh, let's see. Bestiality. The first acts of bestiality was committed when Labana intermarried with the Flug. I don't know what that word is. Tribe through his wife. Bestiality with dogs and animals didn't happen until the Canaanites, the Caucasoids, came out of the caves. Bestiality is the sexual seduction of any animal, be it a dog or an alligator, a gorilla, a pig. It is inconceivable to most people that an intelligent being would degrade himself to the point of indulging in sexual activity with a beast. The deviation may arise as a result of fear and inadequacy in approaching members of the opposite sex, and often also as a result of strong perversion, development of bestial patterns and conditioning. So, it shows some pictures, like, how they encourage the children to embrace the animals. Like, here's a little girl embraced in the arms of a monkey. And of course, the dog licking them in the face. Um, and yucky, even more yuck stuff. Ugh. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. Ugh. Um, I was trying to find the exact. Okay, so the one where it actually talks about the gonorrhea, but it's let me see, but I might have to. Oh, maybe now here is the pictures of them. This one is like the leprosy victims, no cure, because they were sleeping with the animals right there. And the deformity, the elephant man is a derivative of bestiality, but they won't tell us that. This one is the human individual with tail-like appendages do exist. The human tail may be either straight or curled like a pig tail and is usually soft in consistency. That's this one right here. That's with them with the little tail. And then you have like the mankind, the child being born with all of this hair. His lower back and posterity are covered with the hair in patches like that of the beast. And then you have a whole family right here. They call it the dog family. Her I can't pronounce that word, but they look like dog people with their fur all over them. Julilia Parcinia, called the ugliest woman in the world, who was deformed and covered with hair. She was a Mexican digger Indian, whatever that means. Um, right there. Annie, as a mature woman, she had the charm of a society dame and married twice. This was a woman and a bearded woman. Okay. Now, it is a medical fact some humans are born with tails. And this is a clipping of the actual paper that was posted there. Uh, let's see. Uh, Now, here's the part, like what I was telling you. A lady with her dog. Like, this is a white woman with a gorilla. Like, okay, it says um, depicting a book depicting Euro American women kissing or showing unnaturally strong emotional feelings toward dogs, cats, etc. This is very unsanitary because animals sniff filth and they carry different type of disease, and some are transmitted through saliva, commercials, movies, and other types of the advertising promote these intimate feelings between humans and animals. It is even passed down to their children, and they call this cute. This is why he continues in his abominations daily. He is just being his natural beast like self. So this is picture of a woman kissing a gorilla, and then they have the audacity to attack King Kong. Let's see. And then you have a lady and her dog. The media has painted pictures of bestiality and labels it as work or of art. Are there laws in the United States regarding bestiality? Did you know in Minnesota? Let me see if I can pull that up. Um, did you know the U.S. military has now allowed? I think it's like when the men are out on furlough. I mean, not furlough, but like if they're out in the field in the military, that they now actually um, have the go ahead to have sex with animals. And my nurse, when I brought that to her attention, she did not believe me. I said, "Okay, hold on, I'm gonna show you." In America, they give their soldiers the okay to have to perform. I mean, to have do bestiality while they're in the military. It's under that. What is this? No questions. No, don't ask or something like that. But I'm gonna pull it up. You all can pull it up. Just Google um, bestiality among U.S. soldiers. And then Minnesota is passing a law for bestiality that is okay. Just like how they're now trying to teach our children about the LGBT, and then how explicit that they are, the things that they're using to promote. That's a whole other teaching right there too, because um, it's time to for the children to return back to the parent and the parent to return back to the children, because the type of crap that they have in store, that one world order, what they call a new world order, is a one world government, a one world religion, which sexism and anything else goes. That's the reason why they're legalizing all of this nasty behavior, because they want to make it legalized for themselves. And then, um, the butt bucking that they did to our brothers when on the plantation and everything, they this LGBT community among us, some of them actually have the nerve and the audacity to say that they was born this way. No, they were influenced from a very early start. I can speak on it because, like I said, I've experienced anything from A to Z. So I've experienced the lesbianism, I'm saying the lesbianism, but being a lesbian, but the divine spirit took that away too. Because all you have to do is just show me truth, and I'm a receiver, and I'm an applier, and I'm going to multiply that truth and make sure that when I say I love you, the Divine Mother, that I'm going to let not only my words be a lie, but everybody else be a lie. That her words be true. Meaning, when she says you've been delivered, that means you don't look for an excuse to continue doing what she has delivered you from. So let's see. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't even looked at the screen and see if anybody's. Um, Now, see, Alex, it's legal in Missouri. Oh, you mean the bestiality, Alex? Lady, look, Hawaii, Kentucky, New Mexico, Ohio, Texas, Vermont, DC. Bestiality, right? Now they have no gender babies. Yeah. And then they want to know why they're coming extinct, because they want to put it in anything and everything except for their own kind. They're not even pleased with their own kind anymore. Okay. So, did anybody look up because on my phone is acting crappy. Let me see. Bestiality, um, U.S. soldiers, the military. Uh, Okay. Senate approves. Let me see if you can see my phone. Oh, that might be too much light. Yeah, I gotta learn how to do how split screens. And then you all are gonna see it backwards. It says Senate approves bill um, that legalize sodomy and bestiality in U.S. military. Y'all see that? Sex with animals still not okay. And then so it's still sex with animals still not okay in U.S. military. But in all actuality, when you actually open it up and read it for yourself, it is allowed because they put it up under the umbrella for no don't ask, don't tell law or something like that. U.S. military hit with bestiality, sodomy controversy after don't ask, don't tell. Yeah, see, all of that, all of it's there. Bestiality in America Army. Obama signs executive order closing the animal cruelty loophole on the U.S. military. It's a lot. So, So this is, the Divine Mother. She loves us so much. We've taken on. We had like a copycat nature among our adversaries, and there's things that we are doing that will lead to something even more traumatic and displeasing to the Divine Mother. So if you have a pet, don't let it lick you, because even in the word of our ancestors, you being a chosen, set apart one, you're not to even allow your dog's tongue to be upon you, and you know where their mouth and their nose and their tongues been, even among themselves. So it's nasty and it's filthy, and everything has a law within itself. You reap what you sow. So you give into that type of behavior, you'll be fruitful from that type of behavior, and it leads to sickness and disease and sometimes even death. So uh, now, okay, I think this is the one. Oh, syphilis. Okay, so gonorrhea right here. Well, actually, all of these. Um, okay, so the question is, can dogs transmit diseases to human beings? The answer is there are several diseases that dogs can transmit to human beings. These canine beasts can give human distemper and hepatitis. Worms are the most common malady that many can get from the dog. This is done by kissing the dog or by eating in vessels that were previously used by your dog. In the Islamic culture, when a dog drinks from the vessel, it must be washed 7 times. The first washing is done in the earth. Question: what are some of the diseases that dogs carry? Answer: there are several dangerous parasite worms, such as the visceral larval migrating larvae intestines, infection of Visceria. Uh, I don't know how to pronounce that, but inner parts of the body, especially of the thorax and abdomen, as the ear, lungs, liver, kidney, intestines, etc. And you know what? To come and think of it, you know how they always say, when they say that, this is my baby and I want my dog to eat like we eat. Well, then they wonder why their dog is winding up with kidney disease, diabetes, heart failure, because they're eating the same stuff that you're eating, that you're winding up with disease and heart issues, liver issues, kidney issues. So you, if anything, if you really truly love something, don't treat it like you treat yourself. Treat it above or better than you treat yourself, because it's going to wind up with the same type of sickness and disease. When you actually have something as a pet and you're not allowing it to be its true self, then you have a greater responsibility and accountability to that animal to provide, for it. But then when you substitute what it needs or what it would have been able to survive on, in the wild on its own, and then you pamper it and do all these type of things with it, then we expect, it's like, okay, so these migrate and causes enlargement of the liver, clogs blood vessels, and lodges in the brain. Toxacara. This disease is due to infections with the worms. In man, the eggs penetrate the bowel, and then they circulate, and the larvae be carried to any part of the body where the blood vessels are large enough to accommodate them. They may end up in the brain, in the retinal vessels, the livers, the lungs, and the heart. Okay, distemper is an acute, highly contagious disease of dogs caused by a virus. Wolves, foxes, mink, raccoons, and ferrets are also susceptible. The disease is worldwide in distribution, occurring wherever dogs exist. Dogs older than 6 months old are often presumed to have developed the immunity. The organism is spread by feeding and drinking, and attaches itself to the boots of animals' attendants. Also, droplets contain the virus may disturb through the air and certain particles and still be infection. So let's come down here because there's a whole list. Um, where's the one with the wait a minute. This, okay. So let's see. Two types of venereal disease that is contribute to dogs. Okay. Syphilis is a very serious disease that uh, can affect any organ of the body. It is caused by a type of corkscrew-shaped bacterium called a cyprochet. This organism multiplies rapidly in human tissue. However, it can survive for only a short period outside the body. Thus, it is just about impossible to contract syphilis by drinking from water fountains, toilets, or any other way outside from sexual contact. Gonorrhea is a disease that attacks the reproductive as well as the urinary system. It is the most common type of venereal disease, and more than 2 million cases per year occur in the United States alone. Gonorrhea is caused by a bacterium and is transmitted almost exclusively through sexual contact in stages. The early symptoms begin from 2 to 10 days after infection sets in. Um, the dog has been in the company of mankind for at least 10,000 years and probably originated somewhere in the Europe and Asia. 12,000 to 14,000 years ago. Millions of years ago lived a tree climbing carnivorous mammal called the macaque, I don't know, from which the lineage of the canines is traced throughout. Don't know what that word is, excuse me, y'all, but syndoctis, I don't know. Deriving from the African Cape hunting dog. The Indian wild dog and the South American bush dog ultimately sprang through Tamarchus, the progenitor of the fox, wolf, jackal, and dog. So maybe one or two. And this is look. These are actual clippings from papers. 52 devil babies born with tails. Chinese are killing infants at birth because they're being born with tails. That's a shame. I said color. Okay, so this picture shows how much they love their dogs. They even go out of their way trying to look like their dogs. Mm-mm-mm. Then you have a girl attacked by a Rottweiler. Okay, so this book is actually written by uh this is one of what's his name? Wait a minute. Oh, Malachi Z let me see. Malachi Zadok York L for the United Nubian Nation of Moors. So I've had this book for a long, long time. I think the spirit put this in my hands probably at my awakening from in 2002. So I probably had this book since maybe 2005. Um, I don't know. I know I probably walked into a store and bought it, but I notice when I go into their stores, I don't see this book anymore. But when I cover the agenda of the LGBT, ouch, the LGBT, he is a notorious pedophilia. Yeah, I heard about that story about him. Um, So I don't know yay or nay, but I know this book is packed with a lot of information. And so I was grateful that the divine spirit allowed me to have this book to put things in perspective about when it comes to the dog, the history, and the lovers of dogs, and how she does not want her children to display the type of demeanor and beastly behavior as our oppressors does in this book. So moving right along. If anyone defile the temple of love, judgment shall destroy, and for the temple of life is our everlasting parenthood, the temple that we are. So actually I have a testimony. Like I said, I used to have a dog. Let me see. Okay. The message is held for review. This message is held for review. He is a notorious pedophilia. Okay. He is on record for ca- casing, causing anal scarring to young boys and giving them. Well, then he's exactly where he needs to be. I've come in contact with so-called followers of this person, but the divine has for me to ask them questions. It's like it's kind of like another Yahweh ben Yahweh. Anyone who elevates themselves to a position that was not ordained by the divine spirit, that draws their attention to be exalted, then divine, as well as she allows you to rise up, she's going to bring you down. So I'm not surprised about these type of behaviors because it's in just as well as in our homes. How the uncles, the daddies, the daddy's friends, would always molest the little girls. And then they do the same things with little boys. So just because you have a name or a title does not exclude you from being having this type of behavior. So I do not this type of behavior is no person. Because if you have a desire of anything that is unclean, you'll be open to any type of behavior. Because when you don't stand for anything, you're going to be subjected to fall for anything. So I don't know. I never even met the person. I have been to two of the sisters gathering, something called the moon something, but the divine spirit, no matter wherever I go, they're going to allow me to stand up and leave a word with the people because they put too much trust in man and they elevate man too much. And so the divine always speaks through my lips. As a matter of fact, the last time, which was probably like about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I went to one that was on Ponce de Leon, close to the farmers market, and they had like these artifact statues that you would see like outside, like Kemet, and they still have like um, some type of Skype where even from oh, excuse me, even from his jail cell or prison, he still teaches them. And I'm like, so I have a question. If he's supposed to be God, how come he can't free himself? Why is it that he's still sitting up in jail? And it's like, why are you all asking of one another to come together and set him free? If he's truly a God, he should be able to set himself free. So when I start speaking that way, because I'm not going to be asked to come back, but the divine is going to allow my presence to be there for a significant purpose and reason. So, but nevertheless, brother gave me the Children of the Sun series. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that because I don't really know what that's all about. But let's talk about it and see what it is. It might be something in there because if it's in your hand, then there's something in there that the divine entrusted you to share. It's like this book, like in the midst of my apostasy behaviors corrected. This is a good tool in reference to shining a light on bestiality and something that is not approved by the divine spirit. So now let's move to number C, a letter C. I used to be a con artist, but now I've outconned the master deceiver, the adversary, who thought that they could destroy me from a lack of knowledge. So the divine, she is the wonderful counselor. She is the infinite intelligent. So when you receive her into your life as the spirit guide of our life and your steps, then the divine mother is going to counsel you in sincerity, spirit, and in truth. So she revealed this scripture to me to help me understand that she empowered me to overcome the adversary's agenda of trying to keep me in that stronghold. So I've actually had the ability to outcon the con artist themselves. And so she took me to Hosea, the 4th chapter and the 6th verse, where I think that one's the one that says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. That's what it sounds like. Chapter 4, 6. Let's see. My people are doomed because they do not acknowledge me. You priests have refused to acknowledge me and have rejected my teaching, so I reject you and will not acknowledge your sons as my priests. And that in another version it says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Job chapter in the 12th verse, which Job 1. Okay, so I said, all right, the divine says to the adversary, everything you have is in your power, but you must not hurt Job is like saying my seed. So the adversary laughed. So when I received and applied the divine's word and teaching and was faithful with it. Meaning it was active in my life. I just didn't hear it and just had blind faith. Well, you have to be active. It's like when the divine spirit when somebody gives you counsel, it is meant for you to apply it so you can actually benefit from it. But religion and indoctrination and dogmas is that they tell you something and you just have to have faith in it, whether there's no actual evidence of it. You're just supposed to believe it blindly. As a matter of fact, I have was something that the divine spirit revealed to me that there's a difference between faith and faithfulness. Faithfulness is an action, uh, and then faith is like stagnant. Um, Sincerity, spirit, and truth. Yes. He gives great info. Forget the message. Okay. 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 So then there's Ephesians 4:27. That sounds kind of familiar. Let's see. So we got about. Let me see. We started at 9:45, 10:45, 11:45. Ooh, we're going into 3 hours. So I'm going to try to. Um, so I guess there's going to be a part three. It's like 12:16. Tomorrow I do my live radio broadcast at the actual radio station. So I'm actually going to try to bring my cell phone in and attach it to one of these what do you call it, tripods, so I can actually film me doing a live radio broadcast. I'm only on the air for 15 minutes, and that's when I'm doing my poetic justice. Um, and I think there's an example of one on my page. Okay, so Ephesians 4:27. Don't give the devil a chance. That's all it says is don't give the devil a chance, the adversary a chance. Okay, so D as in devil worshiping. I used to be a devil worshiper, but now I worship the only true and living power and savior of our everlasting divine parent, the Redeemer, the Restorer, and the Life Giver and Sustainer. Our everlasting parent is the only one who has a heaven or a so called hell to put me in. Counsel, a number 11:1. That's one of those 111s. So that is numbers, you know, uh, slow. Ugh. Okay, numbers I guess because I'm using a monitor, and that's the only way that I was able to do like the split screen. I wasn't able to do a split screen on one computer. So the place name, the people began to complain to the divine about their troubles. When the divine heard them, she became angry and sent fire on the people. It burned among them and destroyed one end of the camp.